Welcome to HFY Sci-Fi Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Venture into the captivating realm of science fiction. But first, please consider subscribing below. It's absolutely free, and a wonderful way to help more people discover our tales. Stepping off the shuttle at Apex University, Zeke Marr instantly felt a gnawing regret. He'd made a colossal error transferring here. In the docking bay, every alien recoiled from him as if he radiated danger, which in a way, wasn't entirely untrue for humans in space. His knuckles whitened as he clutched the worn duffel bag tighter, military surplus treasure trove echoing his grandmother's legendary service. Patches, faded emblems of her courage as a combat medic, whispered tales of field surgeries, and lives snatched from death's grasp. Zeke revered her, the embodiment of bravery, grit, and unwavering morality. Within the bag, his survival kit clinked. Duct tape, the whisper of a solar charger cobbled from salvage, nutrient bars dense enough to rebuild a small building, his grandmother's seasoned cast iron skillet, and a carefully guarded photo of his family beaming before their auto shop. Grease-smeared smiles punctuated by defiant middle fingers aimed playfully at the lens. The transport doors sighed open, revealing Apex University's apprehensive welcoming party. Dean Tadria, the unlucky lottery winner of the greeting committee, stood front and center. Her humanoid form was mostly unremarkable, save for the bioluminescent patches tracing her temples, throbbing a frantic, anxious yellow, transforming her into a scholarly stoplight. "Welcome to Apex University," she announced, her tone artificially bright, like a dentist wielding a particularly frightening drill. "You must be Zeke Marsters, our inaugural exchange student from Earth." The name of his planet, Class 15 Deathworld, Nursery Planet, hung in the air, ripe with unease. "You're here to share the secrets of Earth's duality as described on the universal map." "That's me," Zeke responded, offering his hand. "I'm honored to represent Earth in this cultural exchange." The dean stared at his outstretched hand, as if it were a venomous viper. "Oh, right. Handshakes. A human custom. The appendage-grabbing thing. Supposedly it was a gesture of peace, demonstrating we weren't armed. Now it's just instinct. Personally, I favor a slight bow. Fewer germs, you see. But my mother insisted." The dean's bioluminescence flared, signaling acute discomfort. "You greet each other by checking for weapons." "Well," Zeke conceded, retracting his hand, "when you frame it like that, it does sound a little paranoid." How did the Thani show respect? Hey, we align our life energies by getting close during meditation. Interesting, right? How long does that take? Like 6 to 8 minutes. Zeke laughed softly. "I have a feeling humans will keep doing handshakes and bowing." The dean's smile deepened, and she seemed more relaxed. "You're right. It does take a while. Even we find it a little annoying, but those cultural habits are so deeply ingrained." Zeke agreed with a nod. "Tell me about it." As they crossed the station, Zeke noticed other students staring, their expressions a blend of curiosity and wariness. "Just ignore them," Dean Tadria said, the patches on her robes shifting to an embarrassed purple hue. "It's just, your file was incredibly detailed." The advisory board spent 3 full days trying to understand this thing called Florida Man. Oh, you can't understand Florida Man. You just have to accept it, like you accept hurricanes or abstract art. They moved into the central plaza, a breathtaking sphere of crystallized atmosphere where students from countless planets were usually mingling. But now, they were pressed against the walls, whispering in languages his translator struggled with. "Did you hear? They breathe oxygen. For like meditation. Their planet's magnetic poles flip? Something about splitting atoms for fuel? Utterly insane." Suddenly, a small figure blocked their way, barely reaching Zeke's chest. The creature looked like a koala that had evolved into an accountant. Perfectly groomed gray fur, huge eyes behind serious glasses, and a look of intense curiosity. "You're the human," she stated, her voice having a tiny whistle to it. "On the syllabus. I'm Kella 9, xenobiology major. I've read every study on your species. None of it makes any sense." "That's pretty much our defining trait," Zeke replied. "Humans confusing predators since 300,000 BC. You're not what I expected." Kella's nose twitched, clearly a sign she was deep in thought. "The report suggests something more wild. Just give me a few days without coffee, and you'll see." "Frel, coffee?" Her eyes widened. "A stimulant that's considered a controlled substance on 40 different planets? We drink it every morning. Sometimes at night, too, if we really hate ourselves." Kella pulled out a data pad and started scribbling notes like crazy. "Fascinating. Voluntary consumption of toxins to boost cognitive function. I have to know more." Zeke grinned mischievously. "And coffee is just our legal way to boost our minds." Kella looked absolutely horrified. "There are illegal ways?" he wondered, with a shiver. What terrifying power they held to be deemed illegal. Zeke let out a low, disbelieving chuckle. He just couldn't. He couldn't resist. Witnessing their wonder, exhilaration, and curiosity was simply too rewarding. It wasn't as though he was unfamiliar with fascination. Alien biology had captivated him countless times. But there was an undeniable pleasure in being the focal point, a perk of human pride. "Perhaps we should proceed to your dormitory." Dean Tadria's voice, a desperate green flicker in his patched skin, broke the spell. A new voice, melodious and refined, cut through the air. It was the kind of impeccable enunciation that suggested its owner viewed rules as mere suggestions. With effortless grace, the speaker descended the upper walkway. Gorvogs recognized the humanoid form, skin that rippled through metallic shades mirroring emotional states. This one radiated a serene silver, a testament to years of dedicated meditation. "Nimosko," he declared with a slight bow, a gesture Zeke reciprocated. "Student council president, ethics major, and your designated cultural liaison. I volunteered." "You volunteered to babysit the Deathworlder?" Zeke asked, a mischievous grin playing on his lips. Nim corrected, his skin flashing a fleeting copper hue of amusement. "Curious. I've analyzed every spacefaring civilization in this galaxy. Yours is unique in achieving interstellar travel while systematically destroying your own atmosphere. The logic eludes me." Zeke chuckled. "Brave of you to assume logic exists." A wave of students began inching closer, their curiosity eclipsing their apprehension. An amphibious student, flaunting the vibrant, warning colors of a poison frog, a towering plant, a primate with heightened flexibility. "All right," Zeke said, adjusting his bag. "Quick show of hands. How many of you have actually read Earth's planetary classification?" Tentacles, appendages, and a hesitant elbow or two tentatively rose. "Now, how many understand why we're classified as both a Class 15 death world and a nursery planet?" Every limb retreated. Zeke grinned. "Dean Tadria, forget the dorm tour. I think class is in order, if that's all right." The dean beamed, radiating pride. "Of course. This way, everyone." Soon every seat and available space in the lecture hall was packed. News of Zeke's arrival had spread like wildfire, drawing students and faculty alike. He scanned the room from the podium, a diverse tapestry of life forms, methane breathers encased in environmental suits, silicon-based entities resembling living gemstones. The last time he faced such an assembly of eager, curious eyes. "I have to know more." Zeke grinned mischievously. "And coffee is just our legal way to boost our minds." Kella looked absolutely horrified. "There are illegal ways?" he wondered, with a shiver. What terrifying power they held to be deemed illegal. Zeke let out a low, disbelieving chuckle. He just couldn't. He couldn't resist. Witnessing their wonder, exhilaration, and curiosity was simply too rewarding. It wasn't as though he was unfamiliar with fascination. Alien biology had captivated him countless times. But there was an undeniable pleasure in being the focal point, a perk of human pride. "Perhaps we should proceed to your dormitory." Dean Tadria's voice, a desperate green flicker in his patched skin, broke the spell. A new voice, melodious and refined, cut through the air. It was the kind of impeccable enunciation that suggested its owner viewed rules as mere suggestions. With effortless grace, the speaker descended the upper walkway. Gore Vogues recognized the humanoid form, skin that rippled through metallic shades mirroring emotional states. This one radiated a serene silver, a testament to years of dedicated meditation. "Nimosko," he declared with a slight bow, a gesture Zeke reciprocated. "Student council president, ethics major, and your designated cultural liaison. I volunteered." "You volunteered to babysit the Deathworlder?" Zeke asked, a mischievous grin playing on his lips. Nim corrected, his skin flashing a fleeting copper hue of amusement. "Curious. I've analyzed every spacefaring civilization in this galaxy. Yours is unique in achieving interstellar travel while systematically destroying your own atmosphere. The logic eludes me." Zeke chuckled. "Brave of you to assume logic exists." A wave of students began inching closer, their curiosity eclipsing their apprehension. An amphibious student flaunting the vibrant, warning colors of a poison frog, a towering plant, a primate with heightened flexibility. "All right," Zeke said, adjusting his bag. "Quick show of hands. How many of you have actually read Earth's planetary classification?" Tentacles, appendages, and a hesitant elbow or two tentatively rose. "Now, how many understand why we're classified as both a Class 15 death world and a nursery planet?" Every limb retreated. Zeke grinned. "Dean Tadria, forget the dorm tour. I think class is in order, if that's all right." The dean beamed, radiating pride. "Of course. This way, everyone." Soon, every seat and available space in the lecture hall was packed. News of Zeke's arrival had spread like wildfire, drawing students and faculty alike. He scanned the room from the podium, a diverse tapestry of life forms, methane breathers encased in environmental suits, silicon-based entities resembling living gemstones. The last time he faced such an assembly of eager, curious eyes. His face tight with anxiety as he finished clarifying for the Chicago PD how his robotics endeavor inadvertently infiltrated their traffic network. He exhaled, "Okay," and with a trembling hand, projected a mesmerizing Earth hologram. "Let's begin with origins. This is my world, a serene beauty swathed in blue to green and swirling clouds, a peaceful visage from this altitude. But let me unveil the reality simmering beneath." The hologram lurched forward, fracturing into a dozen screens ablaze with apocalyptic visions. Hurricanes twisting like furious gods, volcanic eruptions spewing molten wrath, the earth shuddering beneath earthquakes, tsunamis rising like vengeful leviathans, tornadoes tearing at the sky, wildfires consuming all in their path, and floods drowning the land. "Earth," Zeke declared, his voice tight with grim humor, "is actively trying to erase us in, about 17 distinct and creative ways. And trust me, I'm not exaggerating." Kenji crunched the numbers, but I was right there, watching every terrifying calculation. A Pravenian student, thin as a praying mantis and radiating nervous energy, tentatively raised a trembling hand. How do you cope with such relentless peril? Denial, mostly, Zeke admitted, a wry smile playing on his lips. And we name them. You name your natural disasters. Hurricane Katrina, Typhoon Haiyan, the big one, that earthquake California is desperately waiting for. Giving them names somehow makes the monstrous slightly less so. It's the same principle behind calling the fault line that's destined to swallow Los Angeles whole San Andreas, like he's some beloved but perpetually inebriated relative who ruins every holiday. The audience was paralyzed, stunned into silence. Kella's stylus etched furiously across her datapad, leaving a trail of scorched pixels. But here's the kicker, Zeke continued, gesturing to shift the display. Earth's not just throwing weather at us. Allow me to introduce you to our biosphere. The screens erupted with a fresh wave of terrifying beauty. A saltwater crocodile, a living relic of a forgotten age. A blue-ringed octopus, whose iridescent allure masked a deadly venom. A cassowary, which Zeke described as what happens when a velociraptor decides to try being a bird, but forgets to dial back the aggression. Box jellyfish, bullet ants, the entire continent of Australia. We have a creature called a honey badger, Zeke said casually, spreading his hands about 2 feet apart. This big, regularly picks fights with lions, and wins, because it's far too angry to die. And that's not even our apex predator. That's just Tuesday. Nim's silver skin shimmered, reflecting a wave of bewildered bronze. But my file indicates humans are the apex predator. Oh, we are, Zeke confirmed, but not through brute force or raw speed. Watch. The hologram morphed, displaying images of early humans, barely distinguishable from other primates. Then, a rapid-fire evolution. Tools, fire, agriculture, cities, spaceflight. Every other species on Earth evolved to fit into a niche. Humans evolved to break the game. Too slow to catch prey. Invent projectiles. Too weak to fight predators? Build domes. Taming wild wolves as our warriors proves we're stubborn. Our fragile stomachs struggle with the planet's bounty, so we mastered cooking, defying winter's icy grip. We even strip fur from creatures adapted to the cold. A jellyfish pulsed at that betrayal, crying foul. Call it cheating. We call it survival. Correct. And that's why Earth is no mere planet, but a living nursery. She doesn't just spawn life. She births life that vehemently resists oblivion. Every extinction, every devastating upheaval, every cosmic insult the universe hurls, life twists, adapts, endures. 5 monumental die-offs. 5 times life looked into the abyss and spat back. You think that's all you've got? Returning more audacious each time. He displayed images of the Cambrian explosion's bizarre majesty, imposing dinosaurs, then the rise of warm-blooded mammals. The dinosaurs, monarchs for 165 million years, were humbled by a cosmic rock, ushering in an unending winter. 3/4 of all species vanished. Who inherited the scorched earth? Tiny furry scavengers, burrowing beneath the frost, feasting on insects. Our forebears surveyed the wreckage of Armageddon and shrugged, declaring, "This is fine. Time to take over. Shall we?" But that defies Deathworld categorization, a pupil interjected, resembling a crystal spider attempting an MBA. Deathworlds cannot foster intricate life. That's your error in perception, Zeke countered smoothly. Earth thrives, not despite its challenges, but because of them. Hardship is the crucible of growth. Calamities spark ingenuity. Predators forge resourceful prey. This isn't mere evolution. It's evolution under relentless pressure. He presented a fresh visual. A human child gleefully smeared with mud. A bewildered dog observing. This is my nephew. He turned 3 last month. He ingested an insect, tumbled downstairs, recovered, then attempted to mount the dog. His sole worry was the bug's lack of chicken nugget flavor. We emerge into existence on a lethal planet, and our immediate urge is to taste everything. It's not foolishness. It's the sheer audacity of a species destined for victory. How? Kella inquired, stylus hovering. How does any species sustain such optimism in that existence? Zeke's gaze softened. We're not optimists, Kella. We are something far more formidable. Adaptable pessimists, masters of improvisation. We anticipate the worst, prepare meticulously, and when disaster inevitably strikes, we chuckle and make it work regardless. The following day, Zeke's formal introduction to Earth's survival and sarcasm was overflowing. News had circulated concerning the human who depicted his death world with the nonchalant air of one describing a thrilling sporting event. Today, Zeke proclaimed, we begin with humor. Before we delve into disaster response, Zeke began, his voice resonating with a strange mix of amusement and awe. A question. What do you do when your very world tries to obliterate you? A tentacled student tentatively raised a few appendages. Evacuate? Cower? Nope, Zeke grinned. We throw parties. A wave of bewildered glances rippled across the classroom, a silent language of interspecies confusion. I'm serious, Zeke insisted, projecting images onto the screen. Hurricane's coming? Hurricane party. Snowstorm? Blizzard party. Earthquake turns half your city to rubble? Someone's already got the grill going. He paused, his gaze intense. We have a saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Lemons, mind you, are essentially edible acid. And what do? We make drinks out of them. Because of course, we do. The screen flashed with footage, people surfing on tsunami debris, engaging in snowball fights during blizzards, barbecuing amidst floodwaters. But it's more than just stubbornness, he elaborated, his voice laced with pride. We've turned disaster response into a twisted art form. Observe. He displayed meticulous hurricane preparations, boarded up windows, stockpiled supplies, evacuation routes marked with frantic spray paint. We track storms like some civilizations track deities. We have entire agencies dedicated to predicting disasters. Not preventing them, mind you. We can't do that. But predicting them so we can adapt. Earthquake-resistant buildings that sway instead of shatter. Cities below sea level, defiant behind walls and pumps. We choose to live in tornado alleys, earthquake zones, hurricane corridors. On purpose. Why, though? A student named Nim inquired, their skin shifting with perplexed copper tones. Why not just relocate somewhere safe? Zeke chuckled, a knowing glint in his eyes. Because humans are contrary creatures, convinced that unsafe equates to cheap real estate. Plus, these disaster zones are usually breathtaking. California, earthquakes, wildfires, droughts, but also idyllic weather and beaches. So we stay. We engineer our way around the problems. He shifted his stance, his expression turning serious. Now, let's discuss human conflicts. We don't just endure natural disasters, we invent our own. Countless wars throughout recorded history, and don't even get me started on the ones we haven't recorded. A palpable wave of discomfort washed over the class. "That's insane," gasped a cloud-like being whose name Zeke always struggled to pronounce. "How did your species possibly survive?" "By getting really, really good at it," Zeke replied, his voice tinged with dark humor. "But here's the messed up part. We also got really good at rebuilding. Every war spawned innovation. Medicine advanced faster during conflicts. The internet? A military project. GPS? Military? Duct tape? Okay, that was originally for sealing ammunition boxes, but now we use it for everything." "You weaponized adhesive?" squeaked a smaller student, Kyla. "We weaponized everything," Zeke stated plainly. "Then we figured out civilian applications for it. That's human innovation in a nutshell." "Could this obliterate our foes? Excellent. Now how can it mend my sink?" Zeke flashed another mischievous grin. "There was this phase where people used ramen, glue, and paint for basic home fixes." A horrified gasp rippled through the crowd. "Doesn't ramen have way too much salt to even eat?" someone questioned. Zeke waved it off. "Nah, it's a myth. College kids thrive on it." A student looked genuinely ill. "They eat their building repair material? Does that mean their houses are edible?" Zeke chuckled. No, the ramen was just humans being delightfully weird. Let me illustrate how they truly rebuilt." Images appeared, depicting cities resurrected from ruin. London burned in 1666, and they rebuilt it, stronger. San Francisco was practically obliterated by the 1906 quake, and they rebuilt on the same fault line, out of sheer defiance. Japan endures constant earthquakes, so they engineered buildings to withstand them. Stubbornness is our professional calling card. "But the environmental costs." A student with the air of a worried fern spoke up. "Your reports show vast pollution, climate change, ecosystem devastation." "True," Zeke admitted cheerfully. "We spent 2 centuries fouling our own air and water, the very things we need to survive." Proud? No. But we're correcting it. Humans have this incredible gift. We make colossal messes, then frantically innovate our way out. We're transitioning to renewables, pioneering carbon capture, creating lab-grown meat. We are quite literally sciencing our way out of our own disaster. Will it succeed? Probably, hopefully. Will it be elegant? Absolutely not. But that has never deterred us. Nim raised a hand. "This feels paradoxical. You are both the source of and the solution to your own troubles." "Welcome to humanity," Zeke beamed. "We're walking contradictions, sustained by stimulants and an obsession with inventive innovation." Beginning the next session, Zeke announced, "We've explored how Earth tries to eradicate us, and how we try to eradicate each other. Now let's examine how we used to explain it. Mythology." A comparison chart of human religions through history appeared. Humans have conceived of thousands of religions, but only a select few truly took hold. Still, many smaller faiths exist. We have gods for everything. Sun gods, moon gods, war gods, love gods, wine gods, even gods of doors. Yes, doors. Gods of specific rivers, and my personal favorite, Turquilinus, the Roman god of manure. Zeke's voice dripped with irony. They actually had a deity for excrement? A student gasped, aghast. Hey, fertilizer was crucial for their agriculture, so yeah, they had a poop god. Honestly, he probably had more integrity than some of our modern celebrities. A stunned silence hung in the air. But here's where it becomes truly fascinating. Zeke continued, his voice rising with passion. We didn't just worship these gods. We waged devastating wars over them. The Crusades bled for nearly 2 centuries. Holy wars, horrific inquisitions, brutal purges. We've spilled oceans of blood arguing over whose imaginary friend was superior, eclipsing nearly every other cause, save perhaps land and vital resources. He conjured images of magnificent ancient temples, imposing medieval cathedrals, and sprawling modern megachurches. And the truly mind-blowing part? So many of our gods are utterly, spectacularly bonkers. Zeus, the king of the Greek pantheon, simply couldn't control himself and shapeshifted into all manner of creatures to seduce unsuspecting mortals. Loki, the Norse god of mischief, actually birthed an 8-legged horse. The Egyptian gods sported animal heads and extremely specific portfolios. Thoth was in charge of wisdom, the moon, magic, and judging the dead. Why have 4 gods when one overworked deity will suffice? Kella furiously scribbled notes, her pen flying across the page. But surely contemporary humans can't seriously believe these myths anymore, she questioned. Define believe, Zeke countered, a mischievous glint in his eye. We don't honestly think Thor is out there throwing literal lightning bolts, but we still named a day of the week in his honor. We exclaim, "Oh my God," when startled. We instinctively knock on wood for luck. That originates from ancient Celtic tree worship. We toss coins into fountains and whisper wishes. That's essentially bribing water spirits with our spare change. So we simultaneously reject and embrace these beliefs. A student inquired, bewildered. Pretty much, Zeke affirmed. Humans are masters of cognitive dissonance. We intellectually recognize our superstitions are irrational, yet we persist in indulging in them because, what if we're wrong? It's essentially Pascal's wager applied to everything. Black cats, shattered mirrors, the ominous number 13. We're constantly hedging our bets against inadvertently angering the universe. A student in the back, a crystalline being of some sort, interjected, "But you mentioned religious wars. Those would imply genuine belief, surely." "Oh, people absolutely believed," Zeke agreed somberly. "Died for it. Killed for it. The Spanish Inquisition tortured countless souls into conversion. The Crusades mobilized entire nations. But here's the uncomfortable truth about human religious violence. It was almost never actually about the gods themselves." He presented charts filled with historical data, highlighting power struggles, territorial disputes, resource grabs, and political maneuvering. Religion simply provided the convenient excuse. God wants us to seize your land has a far better ring to it than we desperately want your land. We've always been remarkably adept at justifying the things we were already determined to do. It was convenient to blame the gods, wasn't it? A deeply cynical outlook, perhaps, Nim mused, his skin subtly shading to Kant. That tarnished bronze whispers of a past, not entirely grim. Faith, regardless of its shadows, fueled art, soaring architecture, breathtaking music, profound philosophy. Humans crave purpose as fiercely as air. We invent it. Millennia spent crafting tales to illuminate our existence. Some exquisite, some terrifying, most a blend of both. He projected images of spiritual art, spanning epochs, from ancient cave paintings to glorious cathedral-stained glass, to daring modern expressions. Here's the crux, he revealed. We inherently understood these were narratives. Every society confronting another with differing deities had to question, yet we persisted in believing. Because the alternative? Acknowledging a random, indifferent cosmos, and that we're improvising this whole thing. Kella murmured, which is utterly the truth. Absolutely, he agreed. But try conveying that to a medieval soul, or even to someone today. We still grapple with flat earthers, despite the photographic evidence from space. He paused, allowing the weight of that to settle. But that's the core of humanity's brilliance. We confronted a turbulent, lethal universe and declared, "This demands a story." Unable to command disasters, we conjured gods who could. Incapable of preventing death, we envisioned afterlives. Befuddled by inexplicable horrors, we invented cosmic retribution. And when science finally unveiled genuine answers, we held on to the tales anyway, because that's what humans are. Storytellers, even at the apocalypse, especially at the apocalypse. By week's end, Zeke's lectures were packed, faculty surreptitiously joining to hear the Deathworlder decipher his improbable home. In their final session before midterms, Zeke proclaimed, "Let's synthesize everything. Why Earth is labeled both a death world and a cradle." He displayed a timeline of Earth's journey. 4.5 billion years ago, Earth coalesced from cosmic remnants, molten rock, incessant meteor strikes, a virtually non-existent atmosphere. Paradise, right? Yet inexplicably, life emerged. The how remains murky, lightning striking the correct primordial soup, perhaps hitchhiking on an asteroid. The crux is life gazed upon a sphere of lava and thought, "I can make this work." From humble beginnings, life ignited on Earth, photosynthesis emerging in the earliest cells. Then came the oxygen catastrophe. Life nearly choked itself, drowning in its own toxic waste, oxygen. The existing organisms perished in droves, yet a resilient few transformed the poison into sustenance. That's Earth's primal lesson. Today's devastation paves the way for tomorrow's ascendance. The tempo quickens. Complex cells arise, then multicellular life explodes onto the scene. The Cambrian, evolution exploded onto the scene. A chaotic burst of creativity during the Cambrian. Picture natural selection unleashed, throwing a planet-sized design party. Beings with 5 eyes, walking maws, armored horrors. Most vanished, but a core truth remained. Earth cherished audacious gambles. Dinosaurs surged, crashed, then mammals clawed their way out. Ice ages roared and receded. Each catastrophe carved out niches. Each extinction fueled innovation. Earth didn't just harbor existence, it sculpted it. Each trial, a crucible. Adapt or perish, something always did. His gaze locked onto the recent past. Primates burst forth and decided to sprint through evolution. Colossal intellects, instruments, discourse, civilization. We ruthlessly optimized intelligence, sacrificing every other attribute. Fragile, vulnerable, plodding, helpless at birth. Yet alone, we stared at fire and thought, "I'll tame that fury." The image transformed into contemporary Earth. We subdued a lethal planet through sheer stubbornness, driven by an insatiable urge to probe. We fractured atoms, re-engineered genes, and planted footprints on the moon, simply because we could. The same beings who named tempests and befriended wolves now wield advanced tools. He scanned his audience. a sea of alien faces grappling with this deluge of information. Earth is a killer. It eradicates weakness. It's a cradle. It demands excellence, not just survival. Every living human descends from lineages that stared into the abyss of impossibility and roared, "Is that all you've got?" We aren't simply evolved. We're the consequence of cutthroat natural selection. But that can't explain the tensions, Nim ventured. Myths woven into science, cooperation battling conflict, creation intertwined with destruction. It does, Zeke countered. Humans are walking contradictions because Earth itself is magnificent and merciless, nurturing and destructive, ordered yet utterly chaotic. We're Earth's offspring, shaped by its essence, flexible paradoxes thriving on struggle, forging meaning from madness. He deactivated the projection. Your midterm. Design and endure a simulated planetary crisis. Collaborations permitted, but there's a twist. It must mirror a genuine earthly threat. Extra credit for ingenuity, adaptability, especially for turning adversity into an advantage. Deadline: 2 weeks. As pupils buzzed with ideas, Kel remained behind. You really? I still yearn for it, he admitted, a soft smile gracing his lips as he touched the worn photo tucked in his pocket. Despite all its hardships, that death world is home. It forged me, every scar a testament, every catastrophe a lesson. Earth isn't merely a place. It's the crucible of our humanity. Kella murmured, a newfound understanding in her voice. Perhaps Earth wasn't trying to destroy you, but to temper you, to make you resilient. Nah, Zeke chuckled wryly. It's definitely trying to kill us. We're just too damned stubborn to admit it. Then, on a Tuesday of all days, which Zeke considered a personal affront, reserved for pop quizzes and questionable cafeteria concoctions, not existential threats, the harmonics arrived. He was mid-lecture, demonstrating hurricane dynamics with a miniature windstorm that had regrettably ejected Kella's homework through the window, when every screen in the university flickered and died. Well, that's new, Zeke remarked, watching his holographic hurricane dissolve into meaningless static. Then the sky tore open, and ships poured forth like a deluge, their very presence a symphony of frequencies that vibrated in Zeke's teeth. The harmonics weren't monstrous invaders. They were living art, beings of condensed sound, their forms fluid, shifting between tangible and ethereal with each graceful movement. The campus PA crackled, replacing Dean Tadria's droning announcements with a single resonant voice that permeated every device, every implant. Rejoice! You have been selected for integration. Discord will yield to unity, chaos to harmony. Resistance is not only futile, but philosophically unsound. Around Zeke, students began to sway, eyes glazed, pupils dilating as the harmonic signal infiltrated their minds. Kella dropped her tablet, her gray fur rippling as she began to hum in perfect resonance with the invader's frequency. Nim's 3 brains, synchronized for the first time, wept tears of pure joy. Zeke braced himself, waiting for the mind control to wash over him. He waited and waited. He finally said to the swaying mass of aliens. Anyone else not really feeling this vibe? The harmonic signal intensified, flooding the room with raw emotion, designed to reduce any sentient being to a compliant drone. Love, fear, joy, despair, all amplified to unbearable levels and injected directly into the brain. Zeke yawned. He'd grown up in Chicago, where the weather could fluctuate wildly in a single hour. From acne-ridden adolescence to the cacophony of high school, from patiently guiding his grandma through the bewildering world of TikTok to the relentless grind at his family's auto shop since childhood, Zeke's life had been a trial by fire. The shop was a maelstrom of irate customers railing against repair costs, his uncle's sports-fueled tirades, and the radio's assault of questionable music. His emotional resilience wasn't learned. It was forged in the crucible of everyday chaos. So when the harmonics attack struck, it registered as little more than a slightly louder Tuesday. "All right," he muttered, snatching his emergency kit. "Time to deal with this." Descending into Apex U's maintenance tunnels, Zeke quickly realized they were never intended for human passage. Each pipe became an enemy, met with a colorful string of curses that would have brought a tear of pride to his old shop teacher's eye. But he wasn't alone down there. A scattering of others, who had inexplicably evaded the integration, were also present. A few simple-minded maintenance bots, impervious to the override. A Gorvak janitor named Bleak, whose volatile emotions made him unlockable. And, astonishingly, Professor Xander himself. "How did you avoid integration?" Zeke inquired, watching Xander's crystalline form ripple with what looked like embarrassment. "It's a rare affliction among my kind, a kind of emotional mirror. Imagine feeling joy as a faint irritation. That's me. Earth trauma has twisted me. You feel everything in reverse. Bleak shifts moods faster than I can track. And you?" Zeke asked, gesturing towards the droids. "What's your excuse?" "Unit G4N3 experiences. No emotions. Unit G4N3 operates solely on protocol. I appreciate your devotion." "Jane, all right, team. Emotional train wreck. It's time we learn how to save existence." Bleak's skin turned an anxious orange 5 against an invasion, an entire armada. "Our odds rival surviving the Australian outback for a year," Zeke retorted. "So Tuesday. Then listen, the Harmonics believe victory is theirs because they've never encountered humans before. They fail to grasp that this emotional hurricane we call our weakness is our operating system." He displayed his tablet miraculously intact due to shielding installed after the sophomore year. "Debacle. Earth War 101. Can't win with strength, then triumph with absurdity. Xander accessed the university archives. Everything on psychological warfare, unconventional tactics, and above all, performance art." Zeke grinned ominously. "We're about to give them a crash course." These cruise directors, obsessed with a twisted harmony, dared to conduct their symphony on the grand stage of Earth. The opening act of Operation Chaos Theory began subtly. Jane and her fellow maintenance bots, ghosts in the machine, slipped through the station, mapping harmonic positions and observing their unnerving rituals. Their findings chilled them to the core. The integrated weren't merely puppets, they were being consumed. Harmonics, parasitic entities, thrived on emotional resonance, forcing beings into their collective frequency like a cosmic pyramid scheme, fueled by endless song and soul-crushing despair. "They're parasites," Bleak hissed, his skin swirling with nauseated purples. "Emotional vampires." Zeke, transfixed by the haunting footage, corrected him. "Worse, they're a boy band who reached sentience." Stage 2, Psychological Warfare. Zeke channeled his inner demons, his siblings, experts in torment, to wage it. The Harmonics preached peaceful assimilation, so Zeke delivered discord. Jane rerouted speakers, unleashing Earth's sonic pandemonium, death metal in meditation, Baby Shark in command, and Rick Astley haunting every corner. Their pristine harmony fractured, replaced by humanity's chaotic cacophony. "Why?" one commander bellowed, his voice trembling. "Does this Spain song involve precipitation and a flat surface? What possible strategy does it serve?" Meanwhile, Zeke unleashed emotional bombs. He twisted environmental controls, plunging hallways into Arctic blizzards, then scorching desert heat. Lights pulsed in maddening rhythms. The scent of Thursday's cafeteria horrors, replicated perfectly, emptied sections of the station in moments. "You're just irritating them," Xander pointed out, watching the mass exodus from a Brussels sprout-scented corridor. "Precisely," Zeke grinned. "Being irritating is humanity's evolutionary superpower. We're too stubborn, too annoying to die. We're the universe's earworm, the song you can't shake." But Zeke's breakthrough came with a chilling revelation. The harmonics weren't just in sync emotionally, they were dependent. He'd constructed what he affectionately called the mythology machine. It was a bewildering fusion of holographic projector, emotional amplifier, and Tesla coil, the unholy offspring of a Radio Shack having an affair with a mythology textbook during a violent thunderstorm. "Harmonics integrate people by forcing emotional unity," Zeke explained. "But human mythology thrives on contradiction. Gods of war falling in love, trickster deities saving the world, death gods giving rise to new life. We will overwhelm them with so much paradox that their rigid harmony will shatter like a delicate wine glass against an opera singer's high note." A skeptical yellow ripple pulsed across Xander's bleak skin. "And they'll believe you're a god because I've been planting the seeds of this idea for weeks. Every mythology class, every late-night study session where I recounted tales of Earth's gods. The integrated still retain those memories. And what's the one constant across all human myths? The gods walk among us, hiding in plain sight. They are teachers, wanderers, that weird kid in your class who knows far too much about survival tactics." Understanding began to dawn in Xander's many-faceted eyes. "You've been playing the long game. Humans always do. We are the species that buries time capsules and builds monuments for civilizations we will never witness. We play chess while everyone else plays checkers." He hefted the mythology machine onto his shoulders. "And now," he declared, "we flip the board." All this was about to take place in the central plaza of Apex U. The university, once vibrant, was now a sterile harmonic integration center. Hundreds of students and professors stood rigidly, humming in eerie synchronization as the emotionless harmonic commanders finalized their takeover. The universe was their stage. Other worlds would tremble at this broadcast, witnessing the tranquil subjugation of this planet's best and brightest, and willingly surrender to their emotionless integration. But they hadn't accounted for Zeke Masters. He arrived from the heavens, because every self-respecting deity knows the power of a dramatic entrance. Modified anti-gravity modules, hastily scavenged from broken cafeteria drones, allowed him to descend in a manner that was both angelic and awkwardly reminiscent of Mary Poppins. Raw lightning surged around him, not simulated, but real, crackling proof that the Tesla coil was more than just a stage prop. The hacked emotional amplifier roared to life, spewing forth not harmony, but a tempest of beautiful, excruciating chaos, The full spectrum of human feeling, the euphoria of a dawn, the primal dread of a nightmare, the poignant sting of nostalgia, the fierce heat of justified anger. Zeke, he boomed, his voice amplified by Jane's ingenious modifications to the PA system, reaching ears across campus, am profoundly disappointed in each and every one of you. A wave of shock rippled through the harmonics. Disappointment was foreign, absent from their carefully curated emotional landscape. How can there be disappointment when we have achieved perfect unity? For millennia, Zeke continued, raw power sparking between his fingers in defiance of physics. Millennia I have watched, waited, seeded the stars with my children to learn, to evolve, to exceed their limitations. And this is the legacy they create. Enforced harmony, the soul's imprisonment. He was weaving myths together, drawing power from every story he had ever told, the righteous thunder of Zeus, the cunning of Anansi, the fierce protectiveness of Kali, the world-weary disappointment of a particularly grumpy Old Testament god. The integrated began to subtly twitch. Buried in their minds, memories stirred, echoes of tales told by a peculiar human boy about contradictory gods, gods who walked among mortals, gods who pretended to be foreign exchange students simply because, well, why not? Here's the truth, Zeke said casually, lightning dancing around him as the emotional storm intensified. Humans have a saying, God works in mysterious ways. You know why we say that? Because we created our gods in our image, and we ourselves are a beautiful, chaotic mess. A harmonic commander hesitantly stepped forward, its perfect form momentarily glitching between incompatible frequencies. Impossible! Gods are nothing but fabricated stories, primitive fears given form, figments of a bygone era. Hold on, buddy. Zeke just butted in. Can you believe this? I'm just a 19-year-old kid from Chicago, okay? I spend my time building robots for kicks. I've tried explaining memes to clueless aliens, and right now, I'm casually floating here defying gravity, all while rocking my lucky Spider-Man socks. Tell me honestly just one tiny thing about that sounds normal to you? Their leader stared at Zeke, a chilling blend of wonder and dread etched on his face. Just what in God's name are you? Zeke fell silent. The fading glow of his godlike aura left him, revealing just a teenager, fashionably challenged but undeniably resilient. Just human, he stated plainly. Like all of us here, each in our own unique way, Earth teaches us more than just survival. It's about embracing our true selves, imperfections and all. Around the plaza, the liberated students swam in their own sea of change. Dean Todria's emotional patches blazed through a spectrum of colors, a hyperactive rainbow of feeling. Keela scribbled feverishly in her notes, alternating with what looked like a profound existential reckoning. Nim stood statue still, a subtle smile gracing his lips as his mind raced down 1,000 different paths. We had perfection, the harmonic commander murmured, its voice now small and vulnerable. We had unity, purpose, unwavering. Now you have choice, Zeke responded gently. It's messy, yes, but undeniably real. Harmony loses its meaning without the contrast of discord. Joy fades without the memory of sorrow. Peace is hollow without understanding the ever-present potential for chaos. But how do you even function? Another harmonic questioned, bewildered. How can you possibly decide anything when everyone feels so differently? Inefficiently, more often than not, Zeke conceded. We argue, we struggle, we stumble. Yet we also create, we adapt, we constantly surprise ourselves. We conjure music never heard before, art never imagined. Our failures are spectacular, our successes almost impossible. It's not streamlined, but it's vibrantly, breathtakingly alive. The harmonic commander considered him, its gaze unwavering. You're not truly a god, are you? Nope, just a kid from a planet famous for breeding survivors. But here's the real secret. Every human carries a spark of the divine, a stubborn refusal to bow to the universe's expectations. Everyone possesses it, even you. I don't know what to do with this, the commander admitted, completely lost. Nobody ever does, Zeke reassured. You improvise, you try not to cause too much harm, and you hope for the best. Welcome to consciousness. It's terrifying, exhilarating, and completely worth the ride. 3 months later, Apex U debuted a groundbreaking course, Applied Chaos Theory and Emotional Paradox. It was co-taught by Zeke and the former Harmonic Commander, now known as Discord, because, as she explained, if you can't conquer the chaos, you might as well name yourself after it. Today, Zeke announced to a packed lecture hall, brimming with anticipation, we delve into the profound survival advantage of humor. Why do humans laugh when staring into the abyss? A young student, newly arrived from a flawless crystal realm, hesitantly raised their hand. Is it a system error? Ah, a common theory, Zeke chuckled, a knowing glint in his eyes. Discord? Care to try? The echoes of its past harmonic form resonated, imbued now with something akin to amused understanding. Laughter in the face of oblivion isn't a glitch. It's the purest form of rebellion, Zeke had explained. It's a defiant declaration. You can shatter my body, but you can never touch my spirit. Utter surrender, yet absolute defiance. Flawlessly imperfect. Bonus points, Zeke had continued, for anyone who can unravel the mystery of why humans domesticated cats. They offer 0 survival advantage and are actively plotting our demise. Qua's voice rang from the back. Because they're fluffy and make cute sounds. Exactly. Humans don't act logically. We act to ignite life, to make it endlessly intriguing, sometimes even fluffy. Later, on the observation deck, gazing at Earth, a distant blue marble defying all odds by birthing spacefaring life, Zeke was joined by Discord. Homesick? Discord inquired. Always, Zeke admitted. That's the essence of being human, forever longing, even when home. It fuels our exploration, our relentless quest for an unattainable paradise. Your species is gloriously insane. We aim to please, Zeke retorted. They stood together, former adversaries bound by an inexplicable understanding of the absurd. The Galactic Council is reassessing Earth's designation, Discord finally stated. Still a Class 15 Deathworld, but with a novel subcategory, Nursery of Chaos. Approach with caution and an open heart. Pack extra socks. Zeke's laughter reverberated, a blatant challenge to the universe's order. Sounds about right, he conceded. This calls for something. Please, not another mythology lesson. Movie night. I'm introducing you to peak human art. Movies where the dog dies, yet somehow it's a happy ending. Prepare to weep. I'm starting to comprehend your species' resilience, Discord pondered. You're too baffling to kill. Damn right. Now let's go. I'll make popcorn. Prepare yourself. We devour explosions smothered in butter. Because obviously, we do. As they departed, Earth continued its age-old waltz through the cosmos. A death world, a nursery, a crucible of beautiful, unpredictable chaos.